Chuckling as she went, the old woman bustled upstairs to tell her mistress that her beloved husband was in the house. Her legs moved so fast that she almost tripped over her feet. She stood at the bedside and said, "Beep, beep, beep." She stood at the bedside and said,
"Wake up, Penelope, dear child, and see with your very own eyes what you've longed for all these days. Odysseus has come and is home after all these years, and he's killed the arrogant suitors who turned his whole house inside out, ate up his wealth and bullied his son."
"My dear nurse,"
the sensible Penelope said,
"the gods have driven you crazy. They can, after all, rob the wisest of their wits and make stupid people wise. And now they've deranged you, who used to be so sensible. Why do you make fun of my distress by waking me when I had closed my eyes and was deep in a happy sleep, only to tell me this nonsense? Never have I slept like this since Odysseus sailed away to that city, evil Ilium, which I loathe to name. Now go downstairs and back to your own room. If any of the other maids had come and woken me up to listen to such a message, I'd soon have sent her packing to the servants' quarters in tears. Your age can at least save you from that."
But the dear nurse Euryclea persisted.
"I am not making fun of you, dear child,"
she said.
"Odysseus really has come and is home, just as I told you. He's the stranger whom they all insulted in the hall. Telemachus has known for some time that he is back, but had the sense to keep his father's plans a secret, so he'd made those upstarts pay for their crimes."
Penelope's heart leapt up. She sprang from the bed and clung to the old woman, with tears streaming from her eyes, and spoke winged words.
"Dear nurse, I beg you for the truth. If he is really home, as you say, how on earth did he single-handed overcome those shameless suitors who were always hanging about the house in a pack?"
"I didn't see anything and wasn't told anything," said the dear nurse Euryclea. "But I heard the groans of dying men. We sat petrified in a corner of our quarters, with the doors tightly shut on us, till your son Telemachus shouted to me to come out. His father had sent him to fetch me, and then I found Odysseus standing among the bodies of the dead. They lay round him in heaps all over the hard floor. It would have gladdened your heart to see him, spattered with blood and gore like a lion.
Yeah, 'cause that's really joyful.
But now all the corpses have been gathered in a pile at the courtyard gate, while he has had a big fire made and is purifying the palace. He sent me to call you to him, so come with me now, so that you two may begin a time of happiness together after all your sufferings. The wish you cherished so long has today come true. Odysseus has come back to his own hearth alive. He has found both you and his son at home, and in his own palace he has had his revenge on every one of the suitors who wronged him."
"Dear nurse, do not laugh and exult too soon,"
said the prudent Penelope.
"You know how everyone here would welcome the sight of him, and nobody more than myself and the son we brought into the world. But this tale of yours does not ring true. One of the immortal gods has killed the young lords, enraged by their sickening insolence and wickedness. For they respected nobody they met. Good men and bad were all the same to them, and now their offences have brought them to disaster. Meanwhile, Odysseus, in some distant land far from Ithaca, has lost his chance of ever returning, and with it lost his life."
"My child,"
her dear nurse Euryclea exclaimed,
"how can you say such things? Here is your husband at his own fireside, and you declare he never will get home. You never trust anyone. But let me tell you something else as positive proof. The scar he had when he was wounded long ago by the white tusk of a boar. I saw that very scar when I was washing him, and would have told you of it, if Odysseus, for his own crafty purposes, hadn't clapped his hand over my mouth and prevented me."
"Actually, he didn't. He grabbed you by the throat. But I don't suppose you want to tell her that."
"Come with me now. I'll stake my life upon it. If I'm misleading you, then kill me in the cruelest way you can."
"Dear nurse,"
the sensible Penelope replied,
You are a very wise old woman, but even you cannot probe into the minds of the everlasting gods. However, let us go to my son, so that I can see the suitors dead, and the man who killed them."
As she spoke, she left her room and made her way downstairs, a prey to indecision. Should she remain aloof as she questioned her husband, or go straight up to him and kiss his head and hands? When she had crossed the stone threshold into the hall, she sat down in the firelight by the wall, on the opposite side to Odysseus. He was sitting by one of the great columns, with his eyes on the ground, waiting to see whether his good wife would say anything to him when she set eyes on him. For a long while, Penelope sat there without a word, the bewilderment in her heart. As she gazed into his face, at times she saw a likeness to Odysseus. At others she failed to recognize him because of the vile clothes he was wearing. Then Telemachus spoke out and rebuked her.
"Mother," he said, "my hard-hearted, unmotherly mother, why do you keep your distance from my father like this? Why aren't you sitting at his side, talking and asking questions? No other woman would have had the perversity to hold out like this against a husband who had just returned to her in his native land after 20 wearisome years. But then your heart was always harder than flint."
That's a bit mean.
"My child, the shock has numbed it," she said. "I cannot find a word to say to him. I cannot ask him anything at all. I cannot even look him in the face. But if it really is Odysseus home again, we two shall soon know each other more certainly, for there are signs hidden from others which only we two know."
Patient, good Odysseus smiled, and spoke winged words.
"Telemachus, leave your mother to put me to the proof here in our home. She will soon come to look at me in a different light. At the moment, because I'm dirty and in rags, she undervalues me and won't admit that I'm Odysseus. But you and I must consider what is best to be done. In any community, when a man kills someone, even someone who has no friends at all to avenge him, he still goes into exile, abandoning his family and native land. But we have killed the best of Ithaca's young men, the mainstay of our state. Do consider this."
"It's for you to consider it, dear father," the shrewd Telemachus rejoined. "You are held to be the best man in the world for stratagems. No one else can compare with you. We will follow your lead wholeheartedly, and whatever our strength may be, our courage will not be lacking."
"Very well,"
Odysseus, the great strategist, replied.
"I'll tell you what I think is the best plan. First, wash yourselves, put on your tunics, and tell the maids in the house to put on fresh clothes. Then let our divine minstrel strike up a lively dance music for us, with his clear-toned lyre, so that, if the music is heard outside by anyone passing in the road, or by one of our neighbours, they may imagine there is a wedding feast. That will prevent the news of the suitors' deaths from spreading through the town before we have visited our farm among the orchards. Once there, we shall weigh up whatever opportunity the Olympian sends us."
They carried out his instructions. The men washed themselves and put on their tunics, and the women decked themselves out. The divine bard took up his hollow lyre and soon aroused their desire for sweet music and the pleasures of dance. The great hall echoed to the sound of the dancing feet of the men and the elegantly gowned women.
"Ah,
Said the passers-by, as the sounds reached their ears.
somebody has married our much-courted queen. The heartless creature, not strong-willed enough to keep watch over the great house till her lawful husband comes back."
That was what they said. They little knew what had really happened. Meanwhile, the lion-hearted Odysseus, in his own home again, was bathed and rubbed with oil by the housekeeper, Eurynome, and clothed by her in a beautiful cloak and tunic. Then Athene enhanced his comeliness from head to foot. She made him look taller and sturdier, and she caused the bushy locks to hang from his head thick as the petals of a hyacinth in bloom. Just as a craftsman, trained by Hephaestus, and herself in the secrets of his art, takes pains to put a graceful finish to his work by overlaying silverware with gold, She endowed his head and shoulders with an added beauty. He came out from the bath looking like one of the everlasting gods, and went and sat down once more in the chair opposite his wife.
"What a strange woman you are,"
he exclaimed.
"The gods of Olympus gave you a harder heart than any other woman. No other wife could have steeled herself to keep so long out of the arms of a husband who had just returned to her in his native land after 20 wearisome years. Well, nurse, make a bed for me to sleep in alone, for my wife's heart is hard as iron."
What a strange man you are,
said the cautious Penelope.
I'm not being haughty or contemptuous of you, though I'm not surprised that you think I am. But I have too clear a picture of you in my mind as you were when you sailed from Ithaca in your long-oared ship. Come, Eurycleia, move the great bed outside the bedroom that he himself built, and make it up with fleeces and blankets and brightly coloured rugs.
This was her way of putting her husband to the test. But Odysseus flared up at once and rounded on his loyal wife.
"Lady,"
he cried,
"your words are a knife in my heart. Who has moved my bed? That would be hard even for a skilled workman, though for a god who took it into his own head to come and move it somewhere else, it would be quite easy. No man alive, not even one in his prime, would find it easy to shift. A great secret went into the making of that complicated bed, and it was my work and mine alone." Inside the court, there was a long-leaved olive tree which had grown to full height, with a trunk as thick as a pillar. Round this I built my room of compact stonework, and when that was finished I roofed it over carefully and put in a solid, neatly fitted double door. Next I lopped off all the branches of the olive, trimmed the trunk from the root up, rounded it smoothly and carefully with my adze, and trued it to the line to be my bedpost. I drilled holes in it, and using it as the first bedpost I constructed the rest of the bed. Then I finished it off with an inlay of gold, silver, and ivory, and fixed a set of gleaming purple straps across the frame. So I have shown you the secret. What I don't know, lady, is whether my bedstead stands where it did, or whether someone has cut the tree trunk through and moved it."
At his words, her knees began to tremble, and her heart melted as she realized that he had given her infallible proof. Bursting into tears, she ran up to Odysseus, threw her arms round his neck and kissed his head.
Odysseus, she cried, do not be angry with me, you who were always the most understanding of men. All our unhappiness is due to the gods, who couldn't bear to see us share the joys of youth and reach the threshold of old age together. But don't be cross with me now, or hurt because I did not give you this loving welcome the moment I first saw you. For I always had the cold fear in my heart that somebody might come here and deceive me with his talk. There are many who think up wicked, selfish schemes. Helen of Argos, born of Zeus, would never have slept in her foreign lover's arms had she known that her countrymen would go to war to fetch her back to Argos. It was the god who drove her to do this shameful deed, though not until that moment had her heart contemplated that fatal madness, the madness which was the cause of her woes and ours. But now you have faithfully described the secret of our bed, which no one ever saw but you, and I, and one maid, Actorius, who was my father's gift when I first came to you, and was the keeper of our bedroom door. You have convinced my unbelieving heart.
Her words stirred a great longing for tears in Odysseus's heart, and he wept as he held his dear and loyal wife in his arms. It was like the moment when the blissful land is seen by struggling sailors, whose fine ship Poseidon has battered with wind and wave and smashed on the high seas. A few swim safely to the mainland out of the foaming surf, their bodies caked with brine, and blissfully they tread on solid land, saved from disaster. It was bliss like that for Penelope to see her husband once again. Her white arms round his neck never quite let go. Rosy-fingered Dawn would have found them still weeping had not Athene of the flashing eyes had other ideas. She held the night lingering at the western horizon, and in the east at Ocean Stream she kept golden-throned Dawn, waiting, and would not let her yoke the nimble steeds to bring us light, Lampus and Phaeton, the colts that draw the chariot of day. At last the shrewd Odysseus said to his wife,
Dear wife, we have not yet come to the end of our trials. There lies before me still a great and hazardous adventure, which I must see through to the very end. That is what Tiresias' soul predicted for me when I went down to the house of Hades to find a way home for my followers and myself. So come to bed now, dear wife, and let us enjoy sweet sleep in each other's arms.
Thoughtful Penelope answered,
Your bed shall be ready the moment you wish, now that the gods have brought you back to your own country and your lovely home. But since you have mentioned it, since a god put it in your heart, tell me all about this new ordeal. I suppose I shall hear about it sooner or later, so I may as well learn about it at once.
What a strange woman you are,
said the quick-witted Odysseus.
Why press me so insistently?
Delivery interruptus.
Why press me so insistently? However, I will tell you all, holding nothing back. Not that you will find it to your liking any more than I do. Tiresias told me to carry a well-balanced oar and wander on from city to city, till I came to a people who know nothing of the sea and never use salt with their food, so that crimson-painted ships and the long oars that serve those ships as wings are quite beyond their experience. He gave me this infallible sign, which I now reveal to you. When I met some other traveller who referred to the oar I was carrying on my shoulder as a winnowing fan, then, he said, the time would have come for me to plant my oar in the earth and offer the Lord Poseidon the rich sacrifice of a ram, a bull, and a brooding boar. After that I was to go back home and make ceremonial sacrifices to the everlasting gods who live in the far-flung heavens. To all of them this time, in due precedence.
My washing machine is singing.
As for my end, he said that death would come to me away from the sea, that I would die peacefully in old age, surrounded by prosperous people. He assured me that all this would come true.
If the gods make your old age a happier time,
the sagacious Penelope replied,
there is hope of an end to your troubles.
While they were talking, Eurynome and the nurse, by the light of torches, were putting soft bedclothes on their bed. When the work was done, and the bed comfortably made, the old woman went back to her own quarters for the night, and the housekeeper, Eurynome, with a torch in her hand, lit them on their way to bed, taking her leave when she had brought them to their room, and blissfully they lay down on their own familiar bed. As for Telemachus, the cowman and the swineherd, they brought their dancing feet to rest, dismissed the women, and lay down for the night in the shadowy hall. But Odysseus and Penelope, after they had enjoyed the pleasure of love, returned to the pleasure of talk. The noble queen told him all she had endured in his home, watching that destructive gang of suitors at their work, of all the cattle and fat sheep that they had slaughtered in pursuit of her, of all the jars they had emptied of wine. And in his turn, Odysseus, favourite of Zeus, told her of all the discomfiture he had inflicted on others, and all the miseries which he himself had undergone. She listened entranced, and her eyelids never closed in sleep till the whole tale was finished. He began with his victory over the Cicones, and his visit to the fertile land where the lotus-eaters live. He spoke of what the Cyclops did, and the price he had made him pay for the fine men he ruthlessly devoured. He told her of his stay with Aeolus, who gave him a friendly welcome and saw him on his way, and how the gale, since it was not his destiny to reach his home so soon, had caught him once more and driven him, sick at heart, over the teeming seas. Next, he told her how he came to Telepolis, where the Laestrygonians destroyed his fleet and all his fighting men, the black ship that carried him being the only one to get away. He told about Circe and her complex arts, of how he sailed across the seas in his great ship to the dank halls of Hades to consult the soul of Theban Tiresias, and saw all his former comrades and the mother who had borne him and nursed him as a child. I thought Eurycleia had done that. He told her how he had listened to the sweet song of the sirens, how he had sailed by the wandering rocks, by dread Charybdis, by Scylla, whom no sailors pass unscathed, how his men had killed the cattle of the sun, how Zeus the thunderer had struck his fast ship with a flaming bolt, and all his fine company had been killed at one fell swoop, though he himself escaped their dreadful fate. He described his arrival at the Isle of Ogygia and his reception by the nymph Calypso, who had longed to marry him and kept him in her vaulted cavern, a pampered guest, offering immortality and ageless youth, but never won him round. Did you tell her the other stuff about Calypso? Finally, how he arrived after a disastrous voyage at Scheria, where the Phaeacians honoured him in their hearts like a god, and sent him home by ship with generous gifts of bronze and gold and clothes. He had just finished this last tale when sleep suddenly came upon him, relaxing all his limbs and banishing his cares. And now Athene of the flashing eyes had another idea. When she was satisfied that he had had his fill of love and sleep in his wife's arms, she roused fresh golden-throned dawn to leave ocean's stream and bring daylight to the world. Odysseus too rose from his soft bed and told Penelope what he wanted her to do.
Dear wife,
He said,
the pair of us have had our share of trials. You here in tears because of my distressing absence from home, and I, yearning to get back to Ithaca, but harassed and kept in exile by Zeus and all the gods. But now that we have returned to the bed we both longed for, I leave the house and my belongings in your care. As for the ravages the insolent suitors have made among my flocks, I shall repair the greater part by raiding on my own, and the people of Ithaca must contribute too, till they have filled up all my folds again. But now I am going to our orchard farm to see my good father, who has suffered so much on my account. And this, my dear, is what I wish you to do, though you are too wise to need telling, since it will be the common knowledge as soon as the sun is up that I have killed the suitors in the palace. Go with your ladies in waiting to your room upstairs, and stay quietly there, see nobody, and ask no questions.
Odysseus fixed his splendid armour round his shoulders, woke up Telemachus, the cowman and the swineherd, and told them all to pick up their arms. They carried out his orders and put on their bronze armour. Then they opened the doors and went out with Odysseus leading. It was already broad daylight over the land, but Athene hid them in darkness and soon led them clear of the town.